how they'll change it.
You don't even need water anymore, really.
Oh, what the hell is this?
Imagine the amount of time.
Howdy.
All right, how y'all doing?
Doing well, thank you. I wanna.
Well, that's not a nutshell answer. 1672 is when it was began, when the plans were put into effect. Before that, it was wooden fortresses. And not here on this spot exactly, a little further into town. But when the Castillo plans were put into action in 1672, and then was completed, it was a bulwark, which means mostly roughly completed in 1695. And then a little few years after that, 1699, my great-great-great-uncle was made governor here. His name was Jose Zuniga de la Cerda. I'm Paul de la Cerda.
Oh, wow.
My great-great-uncle was the hero of Melilla, Spain. He drove the last of the Moors out of Spain in the Reconquista. And then was promoted to governor and made governor here in St. Augustine. Beat the British in 1702. And then was promoted again to governor of Cartagena. And then after that, he retired. Yeah. So, very interesting. But for the most part, the Castillo in 1695 was a bulwark. Now, when I say that, like I said before, it was roughly finished. Now, if you go into these rooms right here and you look up, these vaultings were not completed. Now, this was what makes the Castillo bomb-proof is these vaultings. Now, most of them, especially this particular one on this particular wall, was not finished. This was like the last thing done to close up this side of the Castillo. Everything else was built around it. Right. This was the last wall, the last vaulting built.
How about that?
And then everything else, the vaultings in the other rooms, were put in later. 1702 was the biggest see, so not a lot of work happening then. You gotta remember, there wasn't a lot of labor here. We used the Indians for some labor, but most of the Indian labor was used over on the island. And you gotta remember that's where all the stone comes from that we get the Castillo.
Right.
Now, this stone, the coquina, was quarried over on the island, barged over to here. And that's why it took 23 years to build the Castillo, is because the coquina has to cure for about 18 months to 2 years before you can even use it.
Really?
The shells, when you take it out of the ground, the coquina is still kind of soft, very pliable. It's a porous sedimentary rock. So the shells make their own lime. That's how you get lime in the first place, from shells. But when this cures, the lime from the shells helps it set up and cure and get hard.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Very
Yeah. Wow.
Was more to it. There's more. You want to hear it? Okay. After the block is laid, you use another material, what is called tabby. Tabby is basically a plaster. It's a very ancient formula. It goes all the way back to Egypt times. And it's lime, sand, water, and potash. Now when you get lime, the way you get lime in the first place is by taking shells, oyster shells, heating them up in a big oven, and then after they're heated, you crush them, and it makes like a powder. Not like a powder, it is a powder. So, and then when you add water to pure lime, do you know what happens? It's a chemical reaction. That water added to lime will make that chemical reaction, and the lime will heat up to about 400 degrees.
Under a chemical reaction.
Yes, on the chemical reaction. So then you add a little bit of sand, a little bit of potash. Potash, all it is vegetable matter, old vegetable matter, and you just mix it in, just for, substance. And then you slap that on top
It's like a film.
of the coquina. Now that is important because now when you go around, especially on the outside, you'll see white patches. Now that's the original tabby with the original whitewash. Now whitewash, the same thing. All whitewash is just the lime, water, that's it. So you put the whitewash on top of the tabby and everything is covered in white. And then when you get ready to leave, when you go across the drawbridge there, you look at the garitas. That's the little guard towers. And you'll notice that they're still red. That means the whole Castillo, all the walls were plastered, tabby, whitewashed, so everything was white, and then red trim all along the top. The garitas, top of the wall, everything was red.
Interesting.
So 23 years to basically build it, and then years after that, all the way up to the 1750s, we were still working on the Castillo. But, the vaulting, and just general upkeep of trying to, build everything and develop everything.
Right.
So, but basically, and then plus everything in the meanwhile, while all that's going on, still, this is a shipping hub, if you will. In the 18th century, Spain and France were allied against Great Britain.
Yeah.
Now these three great world powers are vying for power here in St. Augustine, Havana, the Bahama Channel, and everything in Puerto Rico, all that area. And then Spain was also continuing to move westward in the Conquista, and they got Nueva España, which is now Mexico, and then also they moved on to South America, Colombia, and everything else. So this is a big deal. Spain, moving. So this is all mainly a shipping hub.
Hi.
How's it going?
Well, how are you?
Well, good, thank you.
Also from the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and all the other areas.
Obviously, everybody was catching.
Yeah.
Letting you know.
Well, I come here to shoot the cannon, and then if I can't fire the cannon, they cancel the cannon fire because it's rain. That means I have to talk to you all extra long now. So, yeah, as you go around, like I said, you're looking for the original tabby, and look for the color. Now, look right up. So now, you notice the chapel. Okay, see the little on top of the chapel right there. It still seems like a little slate or something. It's still red. So all that was all, right at the very top near the window. See the little spires there, it's still painted, it's still red to this very day. So yeah, let's look for those little colors.
Okay.
And then as you go around, now the theater's right there, last door on the left. Okay, now the old powder magazine is the last door on the right. Okay. Now that's something you gotta go see. Powder magazine, no longer used. Because it's too close to the water, it's too humid in there. Now they moved the powder magazine to over here. Our powder magazine right now. But if you go back, the last door on the right, go all the way in the back. You gotta get down on your hands and knees. And you gotta crawl into there.
Really?
Yes.
Can you do it?
Yes.
Oh,
Right now.
good job for you. How long is going in there?
You get back in, there's no windows, no nothing else, so it's a little.
You get in there.
Now, originally, when they uncovered this powder magazine, it was sealed up. Now, the Spanish, originally, after they sealed it up, they really trashed up. So you had all kinds of junk out there, bones, stuff like that. So when
There you go.
when they opened this back up in the 19th century, they found a lot of stuff in there, and that's where the old story started. But actually, it's just trashed on. An old powder magazine, not really anything. But it's just where the stories come from and all that. So that's another one. That's a good thing to see is the old powder magazine. Next thing I say y'all want to visit is the you already been there?
Yeah.
Okay, the real old jail all the way in the back.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you so
and
much.
other than that, I mean, the gun deck's close. We're not doing the cannon firing. Just
That's okay.
try to do your best, and if you have any questions, get one of us guys. I'm National Park Service volunteer.
All right. Oh my gosh, I'm missing a story.
General who's in the New Orleans area, Galvez, attacked British Mobile, Alabama, and Pensacola, Florida. He's tying up British troops on those two places that then can't go up to fight the Continental Army in the north. So between tying up troops, giving us a whole pile of money, and letting us buy supplies to continue fighting the war, again, if King of Spain doesn't do that, we don't win the revolution. We have to surrender because we just couldn't continue fighting. Then the French get involved and they help break the blockades on but that was the reason for going up the Mississippi, because the British were blockading the coastal towns, and so they couldn't land supplies there. So yeah. And this is not in any history course I've ever taken. I didn't learn this stuff until I started volunteering.
I had to go out to my car really quick and grab something. I had to go out to my
He ruined it when he said I had to go in my car.
Yep.
He should have said horse. Alright, so apparently they probably didn't shoot these rascals in here, but
These guns of varying sizes can work together as a system to provide what is known as interlocking fields of fire. Artillery was placed to cover all of the angles an enemy might approach. If any one cannon failed, there were others covering the same ground. A cannon crew made up of at least 4 soldiers and a commander learned to clean, load, and fire the gun by drill commands. It was important not to forget one step when under attack, making the hours of practice all the more critical. First, the gun captain called the crew to attention.
And his response went, "These are gentlemanly times, so your word is your bond." That's just the way it was. Christopher Gadsden's response to it, when he went for the trial, he says, "How dare you insult me? You asked for my parole up in Charleston. Now you ask for again for me down here in St. Augustine. I give no such parole. The dungeon will be my fate. So help me God." When he says those words, he's marched from the chapel doors across the courtyard, and just before that drawbridge, we'll take a hard left into the 2 guards rooms as they are today, and put into the prison in that back room, if you haven't seen it yet. That was his home for 42 weeks, 10 months solitary confinement, not allowed out from that room, given 3 squares a day. While he's holed up in there, you will have an incident, an event take place out here in this courtyard. You will have on the 4th of July, what day is today?
6.
4th of July of 1781, you are going to have Thomas Hayward Jr. penning some words to have a dinner out here in the courtyard. He persuades the British guards. Let us have a dinner. Let us celebrate our Declaration of Independence. The British guards said, "Go ahead, have a little dinner. We got this warm wine anyway." And so they do. They have a dinner out in the courtyard. About right where that was. We got to take that. And then we begin to sing this song. Hayward Jr. earlier. They were the heritage of the show. To the national anthem of God, which is the day God came. And
26, the Indians finally win. Jim Thorpe did not score a touchdown that day, but he would rush for 197 yards.
Spikes that make the birds go like that.
No, those are cannonballs.
Are these hawks now?
They are. Trev, don't touch. They've melted, welded them together so that you can't pick them up. You take one of those balls, look, and you put it in the end over here. Did they come apart?
It broke.
That was scary.
These are just like the others.
There's like legends about Akira.
What does this think?